Will Trump be the first president to go to jail? In the tumultuous landscape of American politics, few figures have left an imprint as indelible as Donald J. Trump. From his dramatic entry onto the political stage to his unconventional presidency, Trump's impact has been profound, sparking both fervent support and vehement opposition. As his time in the office came to an end, a new question began to loom large over the horizon. Could Trump become the first president in American history to face the prospect of imprisonment? The inquiry echoed through the corridors of power and captivated the nation's attention, reflecting the deeply polarized climate that defined Trump's tenure. From the outset, his presidency was marked by controversy and unprecedented challenges. His rhetoric, policies, and actions often defined convention, leaving a trail of legal inquiries, ethical debates, and constitutional concerns in their wake. As his presidency gave way to the prospect of legal consequences, this speculation intensified, and the potential for Trump to face legal jeopardy took center stage in the American political discourse. The Constitution of the United States enshrined the principles of checks and balances, ensuring that no individual, not even the president, is above the law. This foundational principle has been tested time and again, and the specter of presidential accountability has never been more pronounced than during the post-presidential phase of Trump's life. The question of whether he will become the first former president to be incarcerated is a complex and multifaceted one, entangling elements of legality, precedent, public perception, and the broader narrative of American democracy. To assess the plausibility of Trump facing legal consequences after leaving office, one must navigate a labyrinth of legal intricacies, historical parallels, and the shifting dynamics of power. Allegations of financial improprieties, obstruction of justice, and abuse of power have loomed large over his presidency, prompting investigations, legal battles, and congressional hearings. As legal authorities in various jurisdictions scrutinize his actions, the potential scenarios that could lead to criminal charges vary in their complexity and gravity. Beyond the intricacies of law, the very notion of a former president facing incarceration raises fundamental questions about the resilience of American democratic institutions. It forces us to confront the balance between holding leaders accountable for their actions and respecting the democratic process that elevated them to power in the first place. The outcome of such a scenario would reverberate not only through the corridors of justice but also in the hearts and minds of citizens who have witnessed the unprecedented events of Trump's presidency. As we navigate the labyrinth path of legal inquiry, historical analysis, and ethical considerations, let us remember that the question at hand transcends the realm of mere speculation. It intersects with the very foundations of the nation, intertwining with the principles of justice, accountability, and the endurance of democratic norms. The future will be shaped not only by the decisions of courts and legal experts, but also by the collective voice of the American people, who bear witness to a defining chapter in the nation's history. One that prompts us to grapple with the intersection of power, accountability, and the rule of law in the land of the free. Donald Trump's legal web has grown more tangled than ever. The former president is facing 91 criminal charges across 4 jurisdictions: Georgia, Florida, New York, and the District of Columbia. He has 2 trial dates set for 2024 so far, and all this is unfolding as he runs for the presidency again. The various legal cases encompass a range of allegations, spanning from attempted election manipulation, mishandling of classified information, to discrete monetary transactions. These cases have expanded to such an extent that delving into their intricate particulars becoming a daunting task, one that only the most steadfast political enthusiast would undertake. However, within the assortment of legal battles, certain cases carry weightier implications, both for the democratic integrity of our nation and for Donald Trump on a personal level. Among these legal actions, there are 2 particular prosecutions that revolve around Trump's endeavors to overturn Joe Biden's triumph in the 2020 election. These prosecutions, occurring in the District of Columbia and Georgia, are accompanied by the potential for severe criminal consequences. Moreover, they bear monumental significance for the trajectory of future American elections. They also have the power to determine whether Trump or a figure akin to him will adhere to the election results in subsequent instances. The classified documents prosecution in Florida is also significant in that it involves sensitive intelligence material. However, prosecutors have presented no evidence that this sensitive material leaked out from Trump's possession. The prosecution is mainly about his efforts to defy the government's demands that he return the documents. Then, in the New York case, Trump is charged with falsifying business records related to hush money payments he'd made. The core violation here is basically that the Trump organization logged these payments improperly as legal expenses. This is not the highest stakes issue in the world. Amid all this, Trump is running for president again and facing several challengers in the Republican primary. He retains a massive poll lead. These multiple indictments haven't hurt him just yet. If anything, they've helped, as GOP voters have rallied around him. Currently, Trump's New York trial is scheduled for March 25, 2024, and his Florida trial is scheduled for May 20, 2024. Unless one of his challengers surges before then, he could have the nomination mostly wrapped up before either trial begins. Then, even if he's found guilty, or even if he's jailed, he technically wouldn't be disqualified from taking office. If he wins the GOP nomination, he'll still be on the ballot in the general election, so only the voters can stop Trump from becoming president again. The technical maximum sentence Trump could face if convicted of everything he's been charged with is absurdly high, hundreds of years. But in practice, such high sentences are almost never given. Yet, though we're a long way off from Trump actually being behind bars, he really is in danger of getting serious time. His eventual sentence, if he is convicted, will depend on several factors in each jurisdiction, none more important than whether the juries will even convict him. The strength of each case and the politics of each area could well influence this. Given political polarization, winning a conviction may well be easier in DC and New York than in the mostly conservative area of Florida, where he will be tried. Recall, it only takes one holdout juror to block a conviction. Then, if he is convicted, what sentence will the judge hand down? Judges have broad discretion to hand down a sentence they feel is appropriate. Judge Tanya Chutkan of DC will hear the federal case against Trump for trying to steal the 2020 election, and she has been the toughest sentencer for January 6 rioters, suggesting she may lean more toward the maximum if given the chance. Meanwhile, Judge Eileen Cannon of Florida has the documents case, and she is a Trump appointee who has already arguably stretched the law to try and help him out. A conviction in her courtroom could be on the lighter side. Once he's sentenced, will higher court judges rescue him on appeal? Some of the cases against him use novel legal reasoning that hasn't been tested before. So far, the Florida case appeared the clearest and best grounded in precedent. While the election cases are more novel, no precedent has tried to do what Trump did before, after all. And the New York hush money case has been somewhat legally controversial. If Trump is convicted, then his eventual fate may end up in the Supreme Court. Finally, any Trump sentence could be scuttled if he wins the presidency. If Trump is back in power, he would likely use executive power to end the federal prosecutions against him, the DC and Florida ones, and perhaps even pardon himself. He could not end the state prosecutions, the Georgia and New York ones. But if he wins the presidency, he could likely put off serving prison time until after his term concludes. So again, it's the voters who ultimately have the power to maximize or minimize Trump's chances of going to prison. The question of whether Donald Trump will become the first US president to go to jail remains uncertain and highly debated. Various legal investigations have been conducted, but definitive conclusions are pending. The outcome depends on the legal system's impartiality and the evidence presented. Speculations aside, history shows that predicting such events is complex. The conclusion to this matter will be influenced by a range of factors including legal proceedings, evidence, and the interpretation of the law. Time will reveal whether this possibility becomes a reality or not, underscoring the importance of due process and the rule of law.